I got a feeling that you got me covered too. I got you covered. I got you covered.
Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody is staying warm or with everything going on. I hope everybody is just doing well. Hi, Wounds to Wisdom. How are you doing today? Hopefully, well. Just a little side note we have a computer on its way. So I appreciate everybody's patience. It is not the chilly in New England, I'm sure. It's not the best solution. The best solution, um, Teresa, I think I friend requested you today. Anyway, it's not the best solution. It's a temporary solution to the problem, which means what I think is happening is StreamYard. Hi, Anthony. StreamYard is just not liking this computer has a lot on it, and I don't think it likes that very much. It's doing that on my Chromebook, and so the solution I would like to do is to be able to say to my son-in-law, "Here you go. Here's money. Go ahead and build me a computer," which he can do very well, and I can get it better than I would get something in the store. And then if something goes wrong with it, he'd be able to fix it. But that's not the solution we can do at this time. So the best solution, he said, would be to just get another computer that we can just have nothing else on it than to use it for going on the internet. And hopefully that will solve the issue. So if I exit for a moment, remember, keep chatting with each other. I try to get on my phone real quick till I can get back on my computer, but that is the solution we've come up with, and hopefully it will fix the problem. And it will be kind of nice because then we can share screens a lot easier and hopefully be able to do some things and show some things and so forth, sharing the screen that way, because then there'll be nothing else on the computer but just the internet, and we go on there and hopefully that will solve the problem. So keep wishing me well, I should say. So it's on its way, hopefully in the next couple days, and we'll get it set up and running. I have my tea, and we're going to talk tonight about blooming, planted where you are bloomed. This stream is dedicated to Patty. So I want to wish my aunt a very happy birthday today. For those that don't know it, she is dealing with stage 4 liver and lung cancer. So it is her birthday today, which we were so happy that she got to her this birthday and hopefully next one. She's a tough cookie, that's for sure. So I did put a little video together earlier today just to wish her happy birthday. So I will put it in here if you have the opportunity to go watch it. Then that would be awesome. And then just wish her well. She is tagged in it so she can see it, and then she can go in there and see all the birthday wishes. So later on in the stream, we'll mention it again and we'll play Scott's song, but I'll do that kind of at the halfway point. But anyway, we're going to talk today about bloom where you're planted, which is not always easy. A lot of us, I thought about that. We talked a little bit about, and it was just, kind of something that came to my head, and I thought, well, we're trying to set goals around what everybody else does, and everybody else gets a planner and they put things in it. Well, it's not me. So, sorry. So if that's not me, where if I get a planner, right, and I put a bunch of things in it, 9 times out of 10, it's not happening. It makes me feel too confined, right? So if I do that, correct, then, and that's not my personality type. There's 16 different personalities, right? That's not my personality type. Then why am I trying to force the way that everybody else does it, but it doesn't work for me? So we talked about goal setting, about not necessarily doing, hi Sandy Wendy, not necessarily doing New Year's resolutions. I don't really do them because they don't ever, stick very well, right? And also, now that we've kind of found out what your personality is, next thing is to start learning about your personality type, so you can find the best way and the most effective way, right, to be able to um, best be able to do your, have your personality type, and then that way you can be able to build off of that. So we did that, and so then this is kind of a shoot off of that, because sometimes where we say, okay, where we want our goals to be set, right? How do we sit there and say, okay, we want our goals, hi Nancy, we want our goals to be set this way, but how do we go ahead and say, okay, want our goals over here, but we're not there, and it's going to take us a while to get there, right? Are you blooming where you're planted? Are you sticking in the sense of, good night, I wish I could do this, and I wish I could do this, and I wish I had this, and I wish I had this, right? We're going to kind of go back to the computer. Hi, Mrs. G. I wish that I could say to my son-in-law, here's money. Okay? I don't mind saying it. He said about $800 to $900 to build a computer. I could go to the local Sam's Club and pick up a computer for about $500, $600 if I could do that. But that wouldn't make sense. And I've talked to him about that, and he said, you're better off waiting. He said, it's really not the best investment. So I went to him and I said, well, here's my problem. This computer is old like me and can't handle what I need it to do. So how do we fix this? And I'm not going to pick my brain because I don't know it. He's a computer guy. I said, what about doing this? And I'm sure glad I asked somebody that knows better. And he said, no, that's a good idea. That should fix it, right? But it is not going to be the total solution. The solution is yes, but you need to be looking for an operating system that is at 11, whatever that is, versus the other one. So yes, I'd like to be able to say, here's money, go build me a computer. We can't do that right now. We put together the funds, the $100 it took to go on eBay, buy a computer and refurbish it, because you all are important. We want to invest in this channel. We want to invest in you all. Put it together to be able to make it happen so the computer could be bought, and then that way I won't be struggling so much to make this computer work, and I won't be just disappearing, because then when I disappear, people are like, where did she go? And then they leave, and that doesn't help you all, and it doesn't help us. So we got to do what is best. But I have to say, okay, I'd like this, but I can't do this, so we have to do this. So I'm going to say, well, God, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I've been planted here. What can I do here? I'd love to, my mom would love to have a house. We live in a nice apartment. But that may happen down the road. But in your community, when you're setting your goals, are you saying to yourself, guess what? I'm going to bloom where I'm planted right now, and I'm going to be happy about it as best as I can. It doesn't mean it has to be easy, right? But we have to be able to set ourselves up for success. And if we're sitting there going under our breath, then we can't look around and find ways to help other people. And when you help other people, right? Hi, Jake, you help yourself. You take your mind off whatever's going on in your head and you help yourself. I would much rather today, honestly, you got a new camera, awesome. I would much rather today, because today, as I've really made sure I've been in chats and been in surrounding with Patty's birthday coming today, it's a little hard. I can honestly tell you, it's been one of those days, Can I just hide underneath the blankets? It's snowing out. Still kind of recovering from whatever I had over the past week. Can I just go ahead and go ahead and just sit and forget the world? But that would not do me well. By sitting here and having this talk with you all, I am serving my Blessed to Crochet community because they've served me. So I'm going to get through today with being surrounded. Thank you, Jake. Being surrounded by my community, right? And we're going to sing Happy Birthday to Patty with Scott's song in a little bit. I put that video together. It wasn't easy. I cried through it. But I thought the worst thing that I could do, right, is sit there and not come live and not celebrate the fact that it's her birthday today. She may not have another birthday next year. But for right now, it's her birthday. So goodness gracious, we're going to celebrate it because she's a survivor. The hospice doctor came in today and said, her daughter said, how much time do you think she has left? She said she could have 6 months. She could have a year. She's a fighter. She's not going to let cancer take her down. And yet she has bloomed where she has planted in the mix of an incredible illness, in the sense, and a devastating illness. She's terminal, but she's bloomed where she's planted. When she needed funds to be able to have things happen, right? Lately when we've kind of reactivated her GoFundMe a little bit and put it out there a little bit more, when she needed what she needed to get her through, it's been there. When she said, listen, I want to come up and see my family for the last time in August, you all made it happen. You served someone else. So I found this article and it talked about it, and I really kind of liked it, and I'll put it in the description of this video later. The expression bloom where you're planted means a person should take advantages of the opportunities they have in their life and be grateful for the present situation. How often in the midst of whatever's going on, we're sitting there going, yeah, we're grateful for being here, right? This is a real terrible situation. I mean, I'm sure the people in California with their houses burning down to the ground and walking away with nothing but clothes on their back are sitting there thinking, I have nothing left. But if you've seen some of the stories coming out, we have nothing left but the clothes on our back. But our family left in one piece. We got out with our lives. We got out with our family. Right? I don't think we always look at that. Oftentimes, if you're unhappy with where you are in life, you may be struggling with this notion. However, there are many things you can do and thrive, even if the circumstances are not ideal. There are people in California that have lost their home that are helping to help other people in far from ideal situations. It's happened in the hurricanes recently. When we were in Florida and went through hurricanes, people came together to help in necessarily not the right circumstances. First, work on cultivating here. If we don't get it here, right, it's not going to happen. Try to be appreciative of the present and accept setbacks. How often in our lives have we had a setback and go, I don't like this? I have them every day. Every day that I get up and I think, yes, I'm going to make today great. And my fibromyalgia decides it's not, I have a setback because what I want to do is not going to happen because my body's going to say, sorry, you're not doing that today. I have them every day. And unfortunately, I've had to accept them whether I like them necessarily or not. Take risks and make connections and work your hardest. Last, make the most of each day. Try to be positive and positive force from one day to the next. Eventually you will bloom. You may not feel like blooming, but eventually you will. It's like, the saying that even when you don't feel like laughing, you should find something to just listen that's funny, because your mind changes the chemistry within your brain. So I liked this method, right? 1, 2, and 3. We can remember that really easy. The first one is developing right mentally. So if you don't start with getting it kind of right here, okay, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and excuse me, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and fibromyalgia is not leaving me. It's still here, right? It's not going to go bye-bye. I will have it for the rest of my life. And I may think I'm going to plan A, B, or C, but I may only able to accomplish A. So getting and developing right mentally. And they give you 5 different steps, which I really liked doing in each one of these, 1, 2, and 3. Hi, Brazy. Acknowledging that you can control your thoughts. Okay? We all know about ants. They come on in, right? My ants in my head would have liked to say to me, Mary, you're going through a hard day today. No, sorry, guys, I'm dealing with some allergies. You know what? Get in the car, have somebody drive to the Kroger's. Go down the aisle of the ice cream and go pick up mint chocolate chip ice cream. That'll make you feel better. And I thought the last thing I need to do today is get into the store and go pick up mint chocolate chip ice cream, because it'll be gone in 2 or 3 days. Just because here hurts a little bit, because I know that it could be Patty's last birthday, and I'm not there to celebrate it with her, right? And I'm sad for what she's having to go through. Dealing with it by going to the Kroger's is not going to help it. Getting connected and remembering that mentally I'm dealing with that a little bit today, right? I need to be aware of that. So acknowledging that you can control your thoughts. If you're having trouble doing that and your mind is racing a little bit, hi, Bud Files, get on the phone with somebody in your 5. And I do believe that you have a core people around you, but that can be more than 5. Start talking to somebody. Do not sit there and suffer in silence. It does nobody any good. Okay? So get in front of somebody. If emotionally it's too much for you to handle, take it, put it in the trunk, walk away for a while. Right? We all have the ability to do that. When you are having those ants come in your head, get yourself up, even if it means you got to go walking in the snow, right? Because if I went out right now, it'd be snowing, because it is snowing. Walk in the snow. Let all that cold air get on your face for 8 minutes. Get up, go do something else. Don't sit there and keep ruminating the same thoughts over and over and over again. Remember, you can also control your attitude. Those know that the 31st, if I can pull it up here, was my grandfather. This was my papu. Okay. You can see he's in a wheelchair. But can you not see the smile on his face? He had the biggest smile you could ever imagine. He was in the wheelchair. At that point, he could move his arms, he could not move his legs. But do you see how happy he is next to his granddaughter? This man bloomed where he was planted. He wanted to put a smile on your face 100% of the time. He got up, with the aid of a lift. He got in the wheelchair. He laughed. He would put me on the back of this wheelchair and we would go down to Publix and he would talk to people and he would make them smile. He wanted people to have a blessed day. He bloomed where he was planted. And I know that he was hurting. I know that he would have liked nothing more than to get out of that wheelchair and walk beside me while riding that bike. He couldn't do that. But he was going to put a smile on his face and make sure that he was going to show it, right? He was going to be the person that he needed to be in that wheelchair. And Misha sent me over several different quotes that I thought were wonderful and we're going to actually use in, yes, my papu, he was, in our April quote Mondays when we do them, because it will be growing season at that point. And she sent me several of them. The first one is never underestimate the power of a planted seed. What's it saying? Never underestimate. In my head, when I think of that one, right? I think of never underestimate the power of positive attitude, even in the mix of a situation that's not so positive. I believe that Patty's still here because even in the mix of stage 4 liver and lung cancer, she has been positive. She has been a fighter. So never underestimate the power of a planted seed, right? The tiny seed knew in order to grow, it needed to be dropped in dirt, covered in darkness, and struggled to reach light. Happy birthday, Nancy, too, as well. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. We will sing happy birthday to all the birthdays in a few minutes. I love that, right? Sometimes we have to literally get underneath the dirt, right? We have to get under the dirt. We have to cover it in darkness when things are really going south, right? Till we can struggle to reach the light. I loved that. I thought it was a very perfect quote. And then this last one is don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. That's what my grandfather did, right? He planted seeds all over the place. He was going to make you smile and put a smile on your face. So remember, you can control your attitude. And if you're having trouble doing that, get on the phone with somebody and have them talk and say, look at that. Look at what you're going through and see if they can see it differently through their eyes. Another thing to do too, to help with that, I think, is if you're really struggling to find things that even in the midst of a difficult situation, you can look at, start a grateful journal. It could be, I'm grateful for my tea. I'm grateful for a cup of coffee. I'm grateful I woke up today. Doesn't matter what it is. Start a grateful journal. Did I miss what? And also, we never know the effect of our actions for another. Those are the best seeds to plant. We are planting every moment of our lives. It's a good to think something we have sent out. Absolutely. Absolutely, Misha, I agree. It may come through when it's most needed. Absolutely. So, for example, if you're unhappy with your current company and you don't have to see your situation as a whole negative. If you keep having thoughts like this is terrible, I hate my job, pause, think of other ways to view the situation, right? Absolutely. So again, the first thing is acknowledging that you can control your thoughts. The second thing is accepting changes as they occur. How good at we are accepting changes. I don't like them. I don't know about you. You too. Thank you, Anthony, for coming on in. How many of us do not like change? We want to wake up and have our coffee in the morning and let's just keep everything leveled out. I don't like change, right? But accepting changes that occur. I love this. The only sure thing is change. Have we ever thought of it that way? So we better figure out how to accept it right. No matter where you're planted, circumstances and situations will change with time. If you want to learn to bloom despite any circumstances, it's important you learn to calmly embrace change. So that's, I think, a topic we can certainly dive into, how to accept it in the midst of difficulty, right? So remember, change is necessary to progress. If things always stayed the same, there would be no personal growth or forward motion. If there is something has changed recently, adapt instead of feeling upset or uneasy about the change. Let's look at this channel. This channel started for the basis of just showing off our crochet. I had none say to my mom, well, let's grow this channel. And by the way, let's look at possibly getting it monetized. But if I had stayed in the hole I had been, right, and the thought in my head that said nobody wants to be my friend, I'd have still been back there. If I hadn't come out on the lifeboat and said hi, I wouldn't have met all you wonderful people, right? Change had to happen, and it's been a good change, and I've improved. I don't have that tape running through my head, thank God. But change had to happen. It had to happen to go forward and move. If things were stale, right, they would be in the same position. So be on the lookout for opportunities and ways that you can change your situation. Like getting the computer. That's a little change. It's not the change I'd like to see happen, which is to get a whole new computer. But it's a change in the right direction to the goal of eventually having my son-in-law build a computer, hi Lydia, that will do what needs to be done. This is a Band-Aid. But it's a better Band-Aid than what we're doing. We can't keep doing what we're doing because this computer's telling us I can't handle the load. And this channel is too important to us and hopefully to you all that we need to do something so we can fix the problem. Hopefully. We have to change, right? So value what you do, value what you do have. I said, how many people have you heard coming out of the fires in California saying, I've got the clothes on my back and my family beside me? I have lost everything. What are they putting a value in? It's not on things. It's on people. I'm so grateful for every solitary one of you. You're important to me. Love you too, Misha. You're important to me. You're important to this channel. You're important to the community. So we have to value what we do have. I'm putting, I I'm putting value and importance in the computer that's coming. It'll solve the solution temporarily. I'm thankful for it. I'm grateful for it. And try to make a conscious effort to focus on what you do have. Sometimes we forget to do that. Try to learn lessons from your circumstances. If you have had something happen and you failed, a lot of times we will beat ourselves up for failure. Do not. It is a step in the process of learning. Right? We have to sometimes fail to learn. And it's okay to fail. Hi, KP. It's okay to fail. Because we're going to learn as we go. Hi, Lori. We're going to learn as we go. Like, for instance, there's things that I have failed at. I love doing blankets. I do not like doing hats and scarves. I do them, but they're not my favorite thing. And I have tried to look up wonderful patterns, and I give all the credit that is due to people that can crochet all that kind of stuff. I have one hat pattern I do and one scarf, and that's it. I've tried. I failed. I'm not going to continue doing it, right? I have done, we enjoy, sometimes we'll have corned beef, right? Great. I've made it in the crock pot and I've made it in the Instapot. I will never make it in the crock pot again. I'm always going to make it in the Instapot. Why put it back in the crock pot if every time I put it in the crock pot, it's not going to come out great? So if I kept putting the corned beef when we have it in the crock pot and not the Instapot, and everybody goes, we can't eat this because it doesn't turn out well, then why am I need to learn from my mistake and say, okay, it doesn't work in the crock pot. It works better in the Instapot. And then number 5 is practice radical acceptance. Radical acceptance means learning to accept your current situation and everything you can't change. I love that. This can help you bloom where you're planted, as you will not waste time indulging on what the scenarios are. Try to wake up every morning with a sense of appreciation for what you cannot change. Okay? I love that. Practice accepting with little things at first. For example, traffic is heavy. You'll be late for work. You can't change this, so do not get upset. Try to accept it, not let this setback interfere with your attitude in the office. If you're stuck in traffic and you go in the office going, how is that going to make everybody else feel around you? Oh boy, we're in it for today. She or he got stuck in traffic. Boy, we're all in today. Right? How can you be, how can you bloom where you're planted and serve others if you're coming in with an attitude going, don't work like that. Method 2 is seeking the opportunity. There's 3. 1, 2, 3. If we can remember to say, how are we going to hear, right, mentally, then how are we going to seek out the opportunity is number 2. And then it's going through these questions again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Identifying what you can't change. Staying in the present. Well, these are, I'm sorry, I thought they were the same. They're not. But it's just every these are 1, 2, 3, and every one underneath there has 5 different things. Building strong relationships, taking risks safely. Okay, so there's 4 underneath there. I'm sorry. I thought there was 5. So identifying what you can change. Can you change the fact that you're stuck in traffic? My daughter was late for work because somebody slid off the road in snow. So she had to call her boss and say, guess what? I'm going to be late because the roads are backed up and so forth. And she goes, don't worry, we want you to get here safely. If she went into work going, she didn't. She couldn't do anything about the fact that she was stuck on the road because somebody slid off the road. So bump up the music, start rattling off things you're grateful for. If you have a hand-free device on your car and you can call a friend and start talking and chit-chatting. I guarantee you, I guarantee you, you're not going to sit there grumbling about it, right? Avoid complaining about an unfavorable circumstance. Complaining doesn't do anything. My grandfather could have complained, I have to be stuck in this wheelchair and look what it, he didn't. I hardly ever heard that man complain. And if he did it out of my earshot. He was just happy to get up in the morning. Even if it was an aid lift of it, with an aid with, or lift with, the aid of a lift. He still did that, right? You may not be a big fan of your current job. Instead of complaining about the work, try to improve your skills for the job that you want to have. Actively send out applications. Hi, Pump Groomer, how are you? To other employees. The key is not to develop a victim mentality. Love that. I worked at a hotel shortly after my husband and I got married, Mr. Bluster Crochet. And I love that because, I didn't love the job. I was working front desk, and about 3 weeks in, they said, we want you to come and train as night audit for 3 weeks. Because I had told them at one point, I'll come in and just learn night audit because I wanted to learn it. Well, they said 3 weeks in, we want you to come in, and I'm sitting there going, well, I just got married. I don't want to do this. And she said, you can either do it or we're going to have to find someone else to, we'll have to let you go. So I had no choice. I had to do it. I disliked it with a passion. It wasn't for this girl because I had nobody to talk to. Guests would come in. It was way too quiet. I may be someone that can stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but it wasn't something that I enjoyed. The sleep would throw me totally off. I felt horrible most of the time. So what I did while I was working there is I was on the computer looking for a job that would better fit my schedule. Sure enough, I found one that was going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off Thursday, Friday, Saturday from 7 till 3, which was about when Christina was coming out of school, right? And then I had to work Saturday 7 to 1, but she was usually at my parents' house. And it was working as a cashier at a Nissan dealership. And I loved it because I got to socialize with people and talk with people when they came in and paid their bills on the car and everything. I loved it. And the crazy thing is, when I gave them my 2 weeks notice, all of a sudden they really wanted me. It was like, can you stay on another week? And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I don't know how I did that. She even said, we'll give you a $50 gift card if you will come and do it for another week. I was like, you got to be kidding me. But I did it. Anyway, I searched for another job. Well, I had that job. Stay in the present. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about yesterday, right? Or worry about tomorrow. Worry about today. Stay in the present. Thinking about what could have happened in the future or what you could have had done in the past can distract you from blooming in the present. Absolutely 100% true, right? Focus on what you can do in the present better. Third one, I love this. Build strong relationships. Guys, connection does make a difference. You can always build relationship with those around you, even if your current situation is not great. Relationships can help you bloom and grow. I can attest to that. I'm not that at the core of me I'm different, but I'm a different person than I was a year ago. That's for sure. I'm much more confident about who I am and who I'm meant to be than I was a year ago. You never know what opportunities strong relationships with coworkers, friends, boss could lead you in the future. If I hadn't built those strong relationships with the lifeboat and spent my time in the lifeboat, right? And built those relationships, then in December, when I even thought about saying to Mom, why don't we just do this thing? Those relationships have served me well, and they've helped me to grow as an individual. So connection is always good because it's always helpful to look at a situation through somebody else's eyes that's not in the situation. Take risk. Doing this YouTube channel was a risk, but nobody's going to come and see and watch this girl. Somebody's going to watch me. Somebody's going to come and pay attention to our channel. We're going to get monetized. And when we did, it was like I couldn't believe it. And I'm telling you, I remember going on Pup Groomer stream saying, "You ready to dance?" She goes, "You did?" And she was so excited for me. And I was just like, thank you. My friends congratulated. When we had that monetization party and we were proud about me, it was just about as big for you guys as it was for me. And my mom, you guys were the friendships behind it. So I said, I'm not doing this for the connection or the monetization part. It goes to Mom. I'm doing this because I need the connection. I need a place to talk. And I'm thankful I found it. I'm glad I took that risk. So risk can help you with your situation as long as it's done safely. Don't be doing risks that are not okay. Rather than viewing your current circumstances as defining, see if there is something that you can raise above. Well, and we're working to get her. So if you haven't subscribed to Pup Groomer, let's get her fully monetized too. No situation is ever completely stagnant. There is always room to take risk and grow as a person. If you all have never watched, and I love watching it, but if you've never watched Secretariat, love that movie because that horse that won the Triple Crown was always in the back of the pack until the race mattered. And then he set records. Everybody discounted him, but the person that owned him. And I love what the father said to the daughter. Let him run his own race. Guys, we could be in the back of the pack, but eventually we're going to come forward. We may come with dirt on our face, right? But we're going to get there. Well, that's wonderful to hear. Thank you, Nancy, for participating. You guys said the magic is not in the find the hammer, it's behind the chat. Make the most of each day. And I think we're going to kind of take a break. We're going to wish anybody whose birthday it is today, happy birthday. We're going to take a moment and wish Patty a very happy birthday today to my Aunt Patty. I'm very grateful that she's here. And we're going to let Scott sing happy birthday for a moment.
This is my birthday wish for you. That you would never be blue. And may you have a rainbow for every single day. And may every road bring happiness along your way. May love be yours to have and hold. And may you never grow old. May every single dream you dream come true. And that's my birthday wish for you. And that's my birthday wish for you.
Happy birthday to anybody who's celebrating a birthday, and happy birthday, Aunt Patty. We love you, that's for sure, and keep fighting. She's a fighter. And I love method 3, which is making the most of each day. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the thing. I kept looking for different, encouraging ones. This is the article I'm using. Some of them, of course, when you look this up, a lot of it goes to a spiritual bloom where you're planted. And I didn't want to do that necessarily because I believe that, but I also felt like I didn't want to cause divisive. We try not to do that in the lives. It's not that I'm going to hide my faith underneath a bushel, but I want people to come in here and feel as if they're all welcome. Believe what you would like to believe. This needs to be a safe space. So, making the most of each day, impact others positively. How often, right, do we go into a store and we're having a grumpy day and there's a cashier on the other side? I've been behind the cashier walls, I know, right? And boy, oh boy, from the way they're acting, they are having the most horrible day you could ever imagine. They are just having an attitude. And I have to say, there were times in my career as a cashier, I've had that happen. I'll never forget the time when we had a gentleman who was an auto tech, and he was up there, one of the leads in the back. He had a motorcycle accident and was wearing a half of a helmet. His name was Mike, and he was in the hospital. And my manager went by and I said, "How's Mike doing?" And he just shook his head. And I knew that he had passed away. And so we're all sitting there crying. They're going back to tell the guys that are all affected back there that this is a gentleman they'd worked with for hours, that he was, he had passed away. And so, we're just all devastated. We've lost a crew member that we had all worked with, and we don't know. He had 6 or 7 children. And I'll just never forget this couple coming in, to the office to pay for their bill. And, they were coming in, and yet they were complaining a little bit. Their car was taking a little longer than normal. And I said very nicely, "I'm really sorry that your car is taking a little bit longer, but we've just lost a team member. He's passed away." And the gentleman looked at me and said, "Not my problem. I want my car now." And I thought, okay, it took everything in my being to not want to not be a pleasant cashier. Oh boy. I thought, you really have to be the most unfeeling individual I have ever met in my life. I have tears running down my face. Everybody else just has a somber moment. Your car is taking a delay. A man has just lost his life. His family is grieving. The whole place is grieving. And you want to sit there being an absolute stick in the mud. And all I could do was saying, "Sir, we will get it out to you as quickly as possible. I'm really sorry that it's delayed. Please accept our apologies. It's not the response that I wanted to give him. Believe me. And I thought, you really have to be that ugly? But we've all had those days where we've gone in with cashiers or people in the service industry and they're going through a rough day, right? And it just seems like, do you have to? We went to the courthouse when Josh was adopting Christina, and there was a lady on the other side, and I thought, she just was just to the matter of fact and so forth. And my mother and I kind of both walked away going, we got to pray for her because she just seemed like she was having a rough day. So we can really affect the people that we interact with on a daily basis. We can either be kind and loving, or we can be really miserable. And if you don't think it shows when you're going through a hard day and you're miserable about it, if you're going through a hard day, I can tell you I'm having a hard day. And you still can somewhat put a smile on your face and be pleasurable and stuff, it goes such a long way. I just thought if that man could have just sat there and said, I'm sorry that, that team member has passed away. I'm in a little bit of a hurry. This really isn't my concern. I really need my car. Could you please see if you could just, get it out in the next little bit here? I really need to get going. I'm really sorry that your company has lost a team member. It would have been so much better than his attitude of, well, it's not my problem. Go ahead and get it done. It was like, you've got to be kidding me. It's all how we respond, even in the midst of difficult situations. So do the small things. Smile at the cashier, right? For example, if someone who's lost with help someone who's lost with directions, try to be pleasant even if you're feeling down. It helps to lift you up. Me sitting in the corner being down today would not have done anything, right? Me being in front of you all and having that community helps and makes a difference. Practice gratitude. Even if you don't like where you are planted, practicing gratitude in the mix of you are planted where you may not like to be planted right now is huge. I am sure Patty, hi Maritza, I am sure Patty, the last thing she wants to be planted with right now is to be under hospice care with stage 4 liver and lung cancer. But she is still finding ways to being blooming where she is planted, even in the midst of this. What an amazing job with a hostile customer. I'm not sure I could have done that. Believe me, it wasn't easy. It took everything for me not to want. But I can tell you, I have a certain sense of customer service because I've been on the other side of the aisle. We're going to have a discussion about that one day. We had a lady came in. I used to work at Claire's. And I've pierced ears. Okay. So the last thing I like to do was actually baby's ears. And just as a side note, don't pierce your baby's ears. Your baby's ears, believe it or not, your lobes are going to grow. And oftentimes when people will come in and their holes were really close to here, it's because they got pierced when they were babies. So wait till the ears develop a little bit before you start piercing, because they're really not going to be even or set in the center of it. And there was this lady who we told her she needed to keep the earrings in her child's ear. They're 14 karat gold earrings, and for 6 weeks. She took them out early and changed them out and put wire hoops in. What happened? The ears closed because there wasn't enough for it to force the hole to stay in there, right? Well, guess what happened? She came back in with the earrings in a bag and said, "Can you please put these back in my daughter's ears?" And I said, "No." Nicely, but I said, "No." She goes, why? I said, I am not going to take the earrings that are in that bag. I have no way to sanitize them. No way to make sure that there's nothing on them that could affect your daughter's ears. I can't put them in the 14 karat glue gun. I have to start off with new earrings. I can't use the ones that you're carrying in a little bag and telling me to put in the gun. The ear piercing pew pew, right? So she literally was so upset with me because I wouldn't do this. I'm thinking, I am not going to do something, I can't do it, and I'm not going to do something that's going to affect your daughter's ears. She threw a stuffed animal at me because I wouldn't put him back in her daughter's ears and walked out of the store. I called our other store at the end of the mall and said, you may have a customer coming. I thought, there is no place that you're going to go that's going to put them earrings back in a gun, or pew pew, excuse me, back in a pew pew and put it back in her ears. But I thought, believe me, I've had it. I've had the gamut. Maybe we'll talk about that one of these days, customer service. Boy, I've got some experience with that one. So if we practice gratitude, if we wake up in the morning and say, okay, how can we practice gratitude? Maybe it's starting a gratitude journal. You may only find one thing that day that you're grateful for, but that may extend down the list, right? As you continue it. Even if you just come up with 365 things you're grateful for by the end of the year. That's 365 things you weren't grateful for last year. Sometimes when we write them down, they imprint more up here. Maybe start doing it on Facebook and say, I'm grateful for, or in your social media, I'm grateful for this today. I'm grateful for this today. Whatever it is. If you feel like you want to share and say, what are you grateful for, right? If maybe you put on, I'm grateful for this. And then say, so what are you grateful for today? Maybe you'll start other people starting to think in that manner and so forth. So this will help keep things in perspective. Remind you that you're not solely defined by your circumstances. Sometimes we look at our circumstances and don't see ways out, right? The optimum thing would have been saying, here to my son-in-law, here's the money, build the computer. Would it have been the wise thing to do right now? No. It would have been the ultimate thing, but it would not have been wise. So I said to him, we can't do that right now, but what can we do in the interim to solve the problem? So I can say that that computer temporarily thing that's coming, I'm grateful for. And my husband was so funny because he said to me, he goes, well, we can do this. And I said, how much is that going to cost? And he said, but wouldn't it be better to do this than that? And I said, no, I want you to understand why I want. Sometimes we don't understand why people want things the way they are unless they ask. And we explained, I said, the reason why I want another computer, because he said, then when we can way down the road afford to get Jared to build the other computer, right? Then what are you going to do with this one? I said, I'll still use it because we'll want to use that one so that if we do any share screening on the thing, there's nothing else on the computer but just that. Oh, now it makes sense. So I said, we'll still need it anyway, but it's going to get us in the in-between. Sometimes you can't do the best. You got to do kind of what's in the in-between to get you there. It's the goal to eventually get us there, but we got to do the in-between part first. And I'm thankful to the computer today for behaving itself up till now. Let's keep it going. Maybe 4 nights to the computer up. I'm very grateful that this computer has continued to keep pressing on and pressing on this whole entire time. I'm grateful even with the times I get frustrated with it. I have both ears pierced when I was 8, and the ones on one side, 9 on the other, and I've had them for years, but I waited till both girls were old enough to decide for themselves. I still made them wait a while before doing it. Yeah, I did the same thing. I didn't do it, but what happens is, take my earbuds out. What happens is when you do baby's ears, right, their earlobes are much smaller. Oftentimes when you do a baby's earlobe, you'll see them that when they come in later, they're pierced very close to the end point here because their earlobe hasn't developed all the way. And it's very hard, or it'll be higher here, right, than what it should. So allow them to develop their earlobes before piercing's happening. Parents can do whatever they want. I just saw it more times than not. People coming in and they'd say, yeah, I got pierced as a baby. And sure enough, their earlobes never developed properly. And then they had problems afterwards. Work with what you have. That's what we're doing with the computer. I've worked with this computer for as long as I can make it work. It's now starting to show signs that it's not gonna do all it needs to do. There's nothing that I can do to this computer. Believe me, I've asked him. He worked on it once. He said, I'm done. There's nothing more that I can do to this computer to make it do what I want to. So we've got to do something in the interim, which is $100 expense to do. But if it's what helps the channel and helps you all so that when I'm live, I don't disappear, then it's worth it. We're investing in you guys. So it's the interim. I'm grateful for what we've had and have. Let's step it up a little bit and do what we can do next to reach the goal of eventually being able to say, build me a computer. And more people I've talked to said, if you can build it, you'll be better off. I said, yeah, Geek Squad. And the family, I'll be able to say, here, this is happening. He'll know exactly what's going on because he built it. Remember, you can always control your situation. Remember, you can't always control your situation. However, you can learn to work with the tools you have at your disposal. Try to see the opportunity for growth everywhere. Sometimes we don't see it, right? It's like, okay, the growth has to happen, and it will happen in order to be bloomed. I think the biggest takeaway is if we don't get here to say, okay, we cannot control this, we cannot control that, we cannot control this, but how is our attitude going to be in the mix of not being able to control it? Remember the bigger picture, right? Keep the bigger picture in mind if you want to bloom. If you've begun feeling lost or frustrated and unhappy, remind yourself of the larger goals. That goes back to, remember, set your goals per your personality. If you're somebody that the world sets schedules, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and that's not something you do well because it makes you feel like you're confined, don't do it. I've been trying to do that for years. It hasn't worked, and usually my schedule is blank. I don't like that. Set goals per your personality. Stop trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It's not going to work, right? I forgot there was something saying that Dr. Judy, or not Judge Judy said, and I can't remember it, right? If you're going to try to teach a pig to fly, it's not going to fly. You're just going to frustrate, well, something similar to that, but it's the case. It's going to frustrate the pig and frustrate you. Pigs don't fly. So stop trying to make it happen. I love to crochet. My daughter would rather cosplay, right? So if I'm going to sit there trying to get her to sit down and crochet, she's tried it. She doesn't like it. So why are we continuing trying to make her do something she doesn't like? I'm not the greatest at cosplay stuff. But if I try to participate in that and that's not me, and I want to crochet, and she likes to cosplay, and I try to make her cosplay stuff, it's just not going to work. It's going to frustrate me. It's going to frustrate her. Let's not continue trying to do things that are going to frustrate each other, right? So once you have a direction, you'll begin to notice the resources at your current disposal to help you get to your destination. Your mind naturally focuses on opportunities that will help you reach your goals. So I think if we changed our mindset, right? If we change our mindset to say, you know what? We may not like where we're planted, but we got to figure out how to bloom there. How am I going to bloom where I am planted right now? And realize that where you are planted may never result in you getting to wherever it is you want to get to. But you can set your goals. You can set them as firmly as you can. If you're dealing with a chronic illness like I am, you may need to adjust them. One of the things my therapist and I were talking about was being flexible, right? Allowing some flexibility when it's a migraine kind of day, right? Or when I'm having issues this way or that way. I need to be flexible. We need to be flexible, even in the midst of everything. It's very important. Be flexible. Don't be so hard on yourself. You know, if you're going through a really difficult time, don't suffer in silence. Don't hide in that corner. If you're saying, I can't bloom where I'm planted right now because what I'm going through is too difficult, get on the phone and talk to somebody. If it's somebody here, we've got the Discord, we've got the Facebook group for the lifeboat, we've got our Facebook group. Get with somebody and talk to somebody. Make those connections build. I guarantee you that it's not necessarily, I'm not dealing with cancer. I can't understand where Patty's sitting and what she's going through. But if she needed to call tonight to just let it out, and I needed to be quiet to listen, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because she's, I hope between the dreams, it's good to see you. If I have to realize she is in such a place in her life where everything around her, she's trying to absorb as much as she can. She's trying to grab onto it. It's really hard to say, bloom where you're planted when you're going through hell and back. I remember sitting there saying, when my dad had dementia, this was a bloom where I'm planted? My dad can't even remember my name. How am I supposed to bloom? I look back at that, never that I really would ever want anybody to go through that, or my dad. But if my dad's illness can be something that I can talk about, I don't know what it was like to go through that. I hope I never find out. Right? But I hope that we can be in a position, right, to talk about, not being in a position, but I now have the position to be able to say, I can talk about my dad's dementia. I can talk about what it was like to be a daughter who had to watch her dad go through it. So if I can use what he had to go through to be able to help someone else that comes to the chat and says, guess what? My dad has dementia, or my mom has dementia, or a family member has dementia. I totally understand it. If I can walk through and knowing that my daughter had autism, I can be able to connect with a mother on the that has a child on the autism spectrum scale in a way that I would not have had that if I hadn't walked through those fires. We're going to be on living my best life after 60, talking about service dogs. And I will talk about service dogs because I believe that my story of how I obtained Jordan, story of another company we went through that was horrible with, the funds that we used, that they received. But, all kind of the knowledge of what you should be doing when you encounter a service dog and the stories, it's a story worthy to be told. But I didn't always like where I was planted. I loved the hotel business. I did not like working night on it. Hated it. It wasn't my jam. I loved working where I had the people that I could meet and talk to, right? It was what I needed. It was what I liked. I didn't like not having that. My dad had dementia. My mom had Alzheimer's. It was hard to lose them twice. That's the best way I could say to put it, Nancy. You lose them twice. I haven't started making content yet, but I'm going through it. But I'm thinking about it constantly. I need to just jump in. Well, Hope Between the Dreams, if we need to help you do that, you just let me know. Because I will gladly help you. You know that. I'll push anybody to do this because I think the more channels that are doing content and showing content, the better. I really do. My dad is in the last stages of Alzheimer's. And you have a story. You have the other people that maybe are going through it, have gone through it, watch their parent go through it. You have a story to tell. So as we're kind of winding down a little bit, how are you going to bloom? Reach out to me. How are you going to bloom where you're planted? And I do believe this has to be a daily challenge. And in some of our cases, a minute-to-minute challenge. We don't need to be happy people all the time. We cannot be. It's impossible. But just because you're going through a difficult time doesn't mean we need to be rude and disrespectful and hurtful to people. If we're going through a rough time, let somebody know. It's okay to not have a good day. It's okay to struggle a little bit. It is okay. We can do this together. But blooming where you're planted does not mean that you're never down in the dumps. It means that it gives you a visual to say, okay, hugs right back. It's like this saying that Misha sent me over, right? Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, right? But by the seeds that you plant. Maybe you can only plant one seed that day. And remember this too, right? The tiny seed knew that in order to grow, it needed to be dropped in dirt and covered in darkness and struggle to reach light. And this last one, never underestimate the power of a planted seed. Yeah, I wonder, and I'm not somebody that has a green thumb, but maybe you need a little visual. Maybe you can get a little potted plant that you literally have to get the dirt, get a seed, put it in the dirt and water that. And watch that seed grow. Maybe it's just something you can do in your house. Maybe it's just herbs. Maybe fancy. Watch it grow. It doesn't mean that your tree is never unhappy. When your tree needs water, looking for connection, run to it. Right? I don't really believe that you can't overwater a plant, right? But if it's nourished well, then it grows. And part of nourishing a plant is by taking care of it. And part of it is by self-caring for yourself, getting connected and having your people and your support system around you. It is vital. Doing stuff you loved. I've did the devotion today, but I've done some other things. But I've crocheted a lot of today. I'm having some asthma issues today. I can tell. So I've kind of taken it easy, and I kind of feel like I'm getting better after whatever I went through this week. So, I've taken today, I've crocheted, I've watched Silver Spoons, I've done some things, but I've made sure that we were on here connecting because I knew today was going to be a little bit of a struggle and it was going to be okay. Because I was going to nourish my plant. And part of nourishing that plant was making sure that I was in connection some way, somehow. And you all are a big part of that. It's what I need in order to keep growing. I've nourished this computer for as long as I can. It's time to give it a little help. That's what we're doing. I had a chair. I don't know if you all noticed, but I haven't gone down once. But we had a chair. And I fought for a year to get that chair to just sit up. And sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. And then you would see me just go down, 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 down. And I finally said, guess what? New year, new chair. We're done. I said to my husband, can't you just take this and glue it? He said, you can't fix this chair. Sometimes when things are not working in our lives, right? When you have a dead limb on the tree, it's time to cut it off. If it's not working, no matter what I tried to do, that chair was not going to stay up. The hydraulics were broken. I could nurse it along, and I did, for as long as I could. But I also felt like every time it went down, I felt like it was in a hole. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't like it at all. Sometimes in our lives, when our tree is blooming, we need to go around the tree and look at the dead leaves and chop them off. And we find out that we're going to grow even more when we do that. Things are not working in your life. I have it right here, right? If you're somebody that says, I'm going to try very hard to do a schedule, right? I'm going to do a schedule and I'm going to keep a schedule, right? I'm going to get a book and I'm going to do what everybody else does, right? And I'm going to do a schedule. You know what I need to do with this for the most part? I mean, eventually maybe it'll come in useful just to tell me when I'm supposed to go live with other people. But you know what I need to do? That doesn't work for the intended purposes. So I need to use it that it's going to work for me. And doing a schedule and having a planner and doing what everybody else does doesn't work for this girl. So guess what? We need to chop off that branch because it's not working. The old chair wasn't working. That branch needed to be chopped off. And what's going to happen is you're going to have more limbs come out because things are going to blossom. Having the tape run in my head that says nobody wants to be my friend. It didn't work. It only sabotaged me. So guess what? That one needs to be chopped off. Sometimes we need to be our own tree trimmer and come in and get those leaves chopped off. Because if they're dead, they're handing weight to the tree. They're not having anything grow. Right? We need to give fertilizer. We need to give water. We need to give sunlight, self-care, connection. Right? And I don't know what we can make the other one, right? But if we use sunlight as connection, water as and fertilizer as self-care, come up with your own little thing of what you put around and what your tree needs. Draw out a tree. If that helps you put in different ways you can bloom. If you're a crocheter and you've got yarn around you, get busy and start crocheting scarves. Even if it's just one scarf you do. Get the dang on things out. I have got lots of yarn, and I've decided that whatever yarn I have left, which I do have, and I have scraps of yarn, I'm not going to use for anything else. I'm going to really work this year on trying to at least do one scarf in the interim, even if it's just the only scarf I do is a pattern that I like. Now, I like to sew in all of my ends ahead of time, but it's not going to work for this pattern, so I'll have to sew them in. But I'm going to start going through my yarn, all of my scrap yarn that I'm just not going to use anyplace else. When I have the time, I'm going to start saying, okay, I'm going to focus on doing a scarf here. If you're not familiar with Broken Hearts Ministries, right? Now, I can do scarves better than I can do hats. So if you're not familiar with Gail's Broken Heart Ministry, she will accept people that will send hats and scarves. I can do a hat and I could do some, but I'm going to start doing that. And then at the end of December, I could send her scarves and hats. And if all I do is send her scarves and there's 10 in there, then 10 people have scarves that otherwise would not have a scarf. If you're like me and go through issues and have issues and unable to get out of the house here and there or do things like that, then find things to do that you can be a blessing where you are planted. Thank you, Brazy. I love you. I'm just thankful for your friendship. I was on another Ripple channel talking about grounding oneself. One thing I do is watch Plastic Crochet to calm me down. It means the world. So, it can be as simple as that. It can be as simple as maybe if you're, our Alfonso, he goes and plays music for the senior care. Maybe you could go sit with some of those people that otherwise wouldn't have somebody coming to visit them. There's a program in our thing that we didn't get involved with this year, but hopefully next year. And it's the grandparent program. And they write letters back and forth. They pair you up with someone in the schools. And you write letters back and forth all year. And then they have a pizza party and an ice cream party. And you get to meet the person you've been writing to. There are so many things we can get involved with that can really do life-changing things. Be real simple stuff. And I think that if we focus on not focusing so much on ourselves, but focusing on other people, man, guys, we can change the world. We really can. And that's one of the reasons why when I do simulcast on the village, because, they're doing that. They're trying to it does take a village of people to come together. And we're grateful for it. We got to 1,300 subscribers the other day, and you guys are rock stars, and we love you. And you guys are awesome disco balls. Remember that. Every broken piece of light disco ball is made up of I'm going to memorize the saying by the end of the year. Disco ball is made up of a bunch of broken pieces of glass. You're not broken, you're a disco ball. So we've got lots of wonderful disco balls around here, I'm telling you. So we're going to take a moment. We're going to stop. We've been on here almost an hour and a half. I think we had a lot of impactful information. Hopefully this kind of gives you the encouragement to bloom where you're planted as you're going into 2025. And before you know it, it's going to be 2026. And you're sitting there going, wait, we're just getting used to 2025. Anyway, we're going to take a moment. We do have our channel members. They do help be able to bring extra content to the channel. It is never expected, but it is appreciated when it can happen. We are just grateful that everybody is here and they're giving their support just by being in the chat. But we do want to just take a moment, and it gives us the opportunity to see a disco ball and look at a little bit of Elvis.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brazy. And we did have the video of Patty that went out earlier today, so take a look out. We have our daily devotions that came out today, so you can take a look at that if you want to get caught up. We've got them in a playlist. We're going to go over this weekend. We did our link tree. Hi, Cosmic. Yes, came in at the end, but we're so glad you came in. It's okay. We'll just start all over again. We're going to do our link tree. Now, here's an idea I had about the link tree. I would like that if anybody has any kind of Amazon products that they really like, that they think would be helpful to other people, if you want to send me those in an email or Messenger, then go ahead and do that. If you're a channel or one that's, doesn't have any content on their channel, if you would like to go ahead and send me any of the you buy on Amazon that you really think would be helpful to other people, if you want to send me those, we have affiliate links. We're going to show you how our link tree is going to work so people can do that. I thought maybe there's some channels who don't want to bother with Amazon affiliate links. There is something like Krista Melinda, if she has something, or Sandy Wendy had some things that they find on Amazon that is helpful. If they wanted to send them, we could create a little collection in that shop for their things, to some of their favorite things that they like. If they don't want to be bothered with, they don't want to take affiliate links away from anybody, but if they're like, I don't want to bother with, doing that. But if they want to, then we can go ahead and in the shop area, in the collection, go ahead and put like a collection of Sandy Wendy's favorite things, and people could go in there and look. And so that may be a way also to lift other people's channels up that don't want to be bothered with the Amazon affiliate links. But then we could say, at Sandy Wendy, and then of course make sure that in the description we're putting your YouTube channel in there for send people over. So we'll be more than glad to do that, but we will want to show people how our link tree is going to work, so that people that, like if I mentioned the migraine mask we use, there's a collection on our link tree that you could go to and look for that really easy. It'll just make things a little more simple. Or if they're looking for crochet supplies that we like, we can put those in the chat. And of course, my mods will have codes that they can use, so they can just pop them in there. So I thought of it today as just a way of maybe being able to, have those and be able to have them on the link tree, and another way of directing traffic to other people's channels, because there may be things that they like on, Amazon that they have purchased, and they think this will be great. I'd love to show people and let people know this has been whatever it may be, coffee or a coffee pot, or, something, or whatever it may be that is really helpful, that I think would be helpful to somebody else, and I want to share it. And then we could make a collection, of those favorite things and so forth. So if anybody's interested, I'll be glad to do that. Just wanted to put that out there for anybody. But we're going to just have a stream to talk about how the link tree if you're not quite familiar with that, how that kind of works. So you guys can find all of our links really easy and use the shop side of it too as well. So we'll have that this weekend. I was thinking with all the snow and kind of the gloomy weather we have, I picked these up when I was at, let's see if I can pull one up. I picked these up when we were at Dollar Tree, and they're the black canvases from Dollar Tree. And I have some, I think I do, I'll have to go through my paints. I have some bright paint, and I figured we could do some bright paint against the black. Remember, we're going to kind of go into kind of what we talked about tonight. You know, sometimes in order to grow, it has to start out dark before it has to go to the light. So I'll pull out all the bright paints and we'll pour it on it and make a paint pour out of on this. And another thing that I'm going to be getting is a light pad. I've really missed. I have diamond painted in the past. If anybody's not familiar with that, it's a very relaxing thing. And I have just not done it in a while, and I'm going to pull out my diamond painting, and I figured that could be something I could show you all. And if you're looking for something to just relax and kind of distract, get your mind off something, it's very relaxing and just very, very calming to do. And so I figured I would show you all how I do that, kind of get caught up on some projects that I needed to kind of finish up. They'll take a while, but we could do some diamond painting together. But I have to get a light board. My light board has been damaged, and I wouldn't recommend doing diamond painting without a light board. It will really strain your eyes. It is a huge help. So like on our link tree, we could put diamond painting supplies and crochet supplies and so forth. So anyway, I thought I would pull that out. We could just sit and chit chat and do some diamond painting, and I don't know if it's ASMR or whatever it is, but I figured we would do that. So we got some things going, and I will get the noodle pudding recipe out. And I do have a song that Christina sang. I will get that out this weekend. And then we'll record Sunday. We'll record Mama and the devotions so we can get her out on Sunday. So thank you for joining me tonight. This was fun. You may kind of getting through Patty's birthday today a little bit easier for me. But I'm so glad. I just thought, what can I be grateful for today? And it's that she made it through today, another birthday. So happy birthday, Auntie Patty. We love you. So have a blessed day, everybody. Stay connected. It is so important. Remember, be proud of being yourself because everyone else is taken. And thanks for having us covered. We've got you covered. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
So proud